morning students. How are you all? I hope you all are doing fine at home. Now before beginning with the chapter, once again, early to bed, early to rise makes man healthy, wealthy and wise. So now to continue with becoming wise, let's start with the chapter. In the previous video we had seen they agreed to each other and they lifted the man. Maybe because the man was in captivity for a longer time and he did not get proper food to eat, he has become very light, just like a bird, right? Who only has the weight of feather and bones. So his arms hanging, they carried him up the steps and into the side door of the house. This door opened into a passage, and down the passage they carried the man towards an empty bedroom. It had been the bedroom of Sadao's father, and since his death it had not been used. So they brought the man into the house, and where had they placed him? They had kept him in Sadao's father's room, which was closed for a longer time after the death of the father. They laid the man on the deep matted floor. Everything here had been Japanese to please the old man. So if you remember, in the previous video we had seen that how Sadao liked Hana very much, but he did not confess his love until and unless he was confirmed that Hana is a Japanese girl. Why? Because he knew that his father would not accept any other girl if she is not a Japanese origin. That means Sadao's father loved his country very much. He was very loyal, he was very patriotic towards his country. So in his room, everything that was there that belonged to the Japanese tradition. According to the Japanese thing, whatever were needed, they were all Japanese over there. Never in his own home sit on a chair or sleep in a foreign bed. Hana went to the wall cupboards and slid back a door and took out a soft quilt. She hesitated. The quilt was covered with flowered silk and the lining was pure white silk. So she tried to give him a quilt, but somewhere that hesitation was there, that she is trying to tend, she is trying to take care of the enemy. So before giving that quilt, she was hesitated. He is so dirty, she murmured in distress. So as the description of the quilt says, and when she wanted to give him, again she looked at him and she said, he is so dirty, he is going to make my quilt also dirty. So this is a typical feminine character, right? Yes, he had better be washed, Sadao agreed. If you will fetch hot water, I will wash him. So then he also agrees and he says, fine, if you can get some hot water, I'll give him a bath. I cannot bear for you to touch him, she said. We shall have to tell the servants he is here. I will tell Yami. Now, she can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him. So, Hana says, you don't have to touch him. Don't touch him. He's so dirty. I'll just ask the servant to clean. Right? And she says, I'll tell the lady, the maid, to leave the children for some time and just go and give him a wash. Sadao considered a moment. Let it be so. He agreed. You tell Yami and I will tell the others. So Sadao again agrees to his wife and then he says, okay, you go and tell the maid and I will be talking to, by that time I will talk to the gardener. Because they had two servants. But the utter pallor of the man's unconscious face moved him from the stoop and feel his pulse. It was faint but it was there. He put his hand against the man's cold breast. The heart too was yet alive. So he started checking that man and he could feel his pulse, but that was very low. His heartbeat was also very low. He will die unless he is operated on, Sadao said, considering. The question is whether he will not die anyway. So now Sadao says he has to be operated, otherwise he will die. And then immediately there is another question that strikes his mind, and what is that? That is, will he not die? Whether you operate him or you don't operate him. There are these two possibilities. Even if you operate him and he is saved, later he is supposed to die. If you don't operate him, he will die right now. Why later he is going to die? Because they have already thought that once he is treated, once he is normal, they would be handing him over to the Japanese police. And that's the reason why there is again a duel, there is again a fight between the thoughts in his mind. He will die unless he is operated on, Sadao said, considering. The question is whether he will die or not anyway. Hana cried out in fear, don't try to save him. What if he should live? What if he should die? Sadao replied. So Hana says, don't save him. All these things, this shows that they are real patriotic people. They love their country too much. And like any other normal human being who would have the feeling against their enemies, they also have the same. Right? Because this man is the enemy of their country, so they are not wanting to treat him. But then they are good human beings. So again, so throughout the lesson we can see that dilemma. Right? We can see that confusion. Confusion between a patriotic person and a good human being. That is in themselves. These are the two parts, right? That is continuously in a duel with each other. So Hana is of the view that he should not be saved. He should die. Well, what he is going to do if he is living also? And then Sadao asks, what if he should die? And if he dies, what good it is going to make us? He stood gazing, thinking, down on the motionless man. This man must have extraordinary vitality, or he would have been dead by now. But then he was very young, perhaps not yet 25. So he is gazing at the man and he is saying that this man had an extra vitality, he had an extra energy. That's the reason why he is alive still. Otherwise, he would have died long back, while he was facing all the adversities reaching till the shore. And what was the age of this man? It was nearly somewhere around 25 years. He was only 25 years of age. You mean die from the operation? Hana asked. Yes, Sadao said. Hana considered this doubtfully, and when she did not answer, Sadao turned away. At any rate, something must be done with him, he said, and first he must be washed. He went quickly out of the room and Hana came behind. She did not wish to be left alone with the white man. He was the first she had seen since she left America, and now he seemed to have nothing to do with those whom she had known there. Here he was her enemy, a maniac, living or dead. So they're talking to each other, and then Sadao comes out from the room. Hana also quickly follows him. She doesn't want to stay in that room with that white man, with the enemy. Right? And since they had left America, after that this was the first white man, first American she's come across. And whatever, because they are now enemies, these two countries are now enemies, Hana even doesn't want to remember the things that used to happen or that had happened in America. When she was there in America for her studies. She doesn't want to remember all those things either. And so this man who was lying in their home, he was her enemy, a trouble. whether he is dead or alive. Anyways, she turned to the nursery and called Yummy. But the children heard her voice and she had to go in for a moment and smile at them and play with the baby boy, now nearly 3 months old. So when she was calling the maid, the children had heard his, So when she called the maid, the children heard her voice and the young baby boy who was just 3 months old might maybe have started crying for her. So she had to move into the room and play with the children. Then Hannah led the way quickly and softly to the kitchen. The two servants were frightened at what their master had just told them. The old gardener, who was also a house servant, pulled a few hairs on his upper lip. So now the servants were told about the enemy. So they are very scared, they are afraid. And as they are scared, they really don't know how to react to what the master have been telling them. So the old gardener, maybe he has very light moustache. So what does he do? He is trying to pull a few hairs from his moustache. The master ought not to heal the wound of this white man, he said bluntly to Hannah. Now the old gardener, straightforwardly, he tells to Hannah that master should not treat this man. The white man ought to be dead, ought to die. First he was shot, then the sea caught him and wounded him with her rocks. If the master heals what the gun did and what the sea did, they will take revenge on us. So the gardener says that the man should die. We should not take care of him. The master should not treat him. Why? Because first he was shot by the army, by the police. Secondly, he was wounded by the sea. And now, if the master treats him, tends him, we will be in danger. We will be punished. I will tell him what you say, Hannah replied courteously. But she herself was also frightened, although she was not superstitious as the old man was. Could it ever be well to help an enemy? So now, even at heart, Hannah was also of the view somewhere in corner of her heart that this man should not be treated. He should die because he is our enemy. But this thought was not so prevalent, not so strong as that of the old man. Because he was an old man, he was superstitious also. He says that we may be revenged. Right? In any ways, it can be revenged upon us. So she says, okay, I'll convey your thoughts to the master. Then whatever will be decided, we'll let you know. Nevertheless, she told Yummy to fetch the hot water and bring it to the room where the white man was. She went ahead and slid back the partitions. So she gives the instructions to the maid and then she comes back to the room. Saddam was not yet there. Yummy, following, put down her wooden bucket. Then she went over to the white man. When she saw him, her thick lips folded themselves into stubbornness. I had never watched a white man, she said, and I will not wash so dirty a one now. So the maid follows the orders of the lady, that is Hannah, and she brings a bucket of water. She puts it on the floor and she looks at the man. She is pressing her lips. And then she says, she is showing her stubbornness. Stubbornness, she doesn't want to do that. So what she says, in all my life I had never given bath to a white man. And he is so dirty, yeah. I am not going to give him a bath either. Hannah cried at her severely. You will do what your master commands you. There was so fierce a look of resistance upon Yummy's round, dull face that Hannah felt unreasonably afraid. After all, if the servants should report something that was not as it happened. So Hannah scolded the maid, Yummy, and she said that you need to follow the orders of your master. But still, the expressions that Yummy had on her face, Hannah got frightened. She got frightened with the thought, what if these servants only go and report to the police about us? So she was afraid with that thought. Very well, she said with dignity. You understand, we only want to bring him to his sense so that we can turn him over as a prisoner. I will have nothing to do with it, Yummy said. I am a poor person and it is not my business. So Hannah tries to control her anger, and then she tries to explain things to Yummy, saying that he is a prisoner, right? But since he is wounded, he is unconscious, the master is only going to treat him, and once he is well, once he is back to his normal life, we are going to hand him over again back to the police. To which the lady, Yummy, she says, see, I am not involved in all this thing. If there is some danger, if police arrest you all, I should not be involved into that because this is not my business. Then please, Hannah said gently, return to your own work. So Hannah says, okay, you don't want to give him a wash? Fine, go back and do your other work. At once Yummy left the room. But this left Hannah with a white man alone. She might have been too afraid to stay had not her anger at Yummy's stubbornness now sustained her. So Yummy had already left. Hannah is again alone with the stranger's body. She feels scared, but she was more now. The emotion of anger was more strong. It was more prevalent than the fear. So she was there in that room. Stupid Yummy, she muttered fiercely. Is this anything but a man? And a wounded, helpless man. So she says, stupid. This maid is stupid. What is there to be scared with this man? He is a wounded man. He is unconscious. He is not going to do anything at this stage. In the conviction of her own superiority, she bent impulsively and untied the knotted rugs that kept the white man covered. When she had his breast bare, she dipped a small clean towel that Yummy had brought into the steaming hot water and washed his face carefully. The man's skin, though rough with exposure, was of a fine texture and must have been very blonde when he was a child. So Yummy had left without giving a wash. Now she had to do it. So she just tried to uncover him, tried to remove his clothes, and then with the warm towel that was there in the water, she tried to wipe him, clean him. And when she cleaned his face, she could see that though the skin was rough, but it was very fair in complexion. And she says, when this man would have been a child, he would have been really blonde in color, that is the golden in color. While she was thinking these thoughts, though not really liking the man better now that he was no longer a child, she kept on washing him until his upper body was quite clean. So she was thinking about all these things, about his childhood. But then immediately suddenly she remembers that he is no longer a child. He is a grown-up man and he is my enemy. She cleans the upper part of his body and when it is clean. But she dared not turn him over. Where was Sadao? Now her anger was ebbing and she was anxious again and she rose, wiping her hands on the wrong towel. Then, lest the man be chilled, she put the quilt over him. So she cleaned him, everything, and she was looking for Sadao. Where has Sadao gone? And she was getting very angry. Why? Maybe because her husband has left her there and she was very scared to be there with that strange man. Okay? So she was getting angry. Her anger was now just about to burst. And finally when the man was clean, what did she do? She covered him with the quilt that she had taken out in the previous few lines. Sadao, she called softly. He had been about to come in when she called. His hand had been on the door and now he opened it. He saw that he had brought his surgeon's emergency bag and that he wore his surgeon's coat. So when she called Sadao, he was just about to enter into the room. And as he entered into the room, she saw that he is all ready for the operation to be done. He was wearing his surgeon's coat, he was wearing his gloves, he was there with his surgeon's toolbox. You have decided to operate, she cried. So she is asking loudly. So you made your decision? Yes, he said shortly. He turned his back to her and unfolded a sterilized towel upon the floor of the tokonoma alcove and put his instruments out upon it. So what is tokonoma? It is a nook or an alcove in a Japanese home for displaying a flower arrangement, kakemono or other piece of art. So it is like a holder, a niche, something which can hold something. Especially it is used to keep flowers. So now he is using it to keep the tools. But when she went back into the room, she saw this was useless. The blood had already soaked through the packing in the man's wound and had ruined the man under. So he has put up all the instruments and everything. Now he says, Hana, fetch towels. He said, fetch, bring towels. She went obediently, but how anxious now, to the linen shelves and took out the towels. So now, very quickly she moves to take the towels from the linen shelves. There ought also to be old pieces of matting so that the blood would not ruin the fine floor covering. She went out to the back veranda where the gardener kept strips of matting with which to protect delicate shrubs on cold nights and took an armful of them. So she thought that she should also carry some old mats, right? So that because of the blood the floor doesn't get spoiled. So she, along with the towel, she also carries those old mats with her into the room. But when she went back into the room, she saw this was useless. The blood had already soaked through the packing in the man's wound and had ruined the mat under him. So when she comes into the room, she sees that she was too late in bringing those old mats, right? Already the mat on which the man was lying had been spoiled. It was all smeared with blood. The mat, she cried. Yes, it is ruined, Sadao replied, as though he did not care. Help me to turn him, he commanded her. She obeyed him without a word, and he began to wash the man's back carefully. Yummy would not wash him, she said. Did you wash him then? Sadao asked, not stopping for a moment his swift, concise movements. Yes, she did. So now, what had Hana done? Hana had only cleaned the front portion. She did not turn him back and clean the back also. So Sadao had to do it. And while doing so, Hana informs him that Yummy did not wash him. So husband is asking, did you wash him? And she says, yes. So the conversation goes on. He did not seem to hear her, but she was used to his absorptions when he was at work. She wondered for a moment if it mattered to him what was the body upon which he worked so long, as it was for the work he did so excellently. So now they both are talking, and Sadao is asking questions. Hana is answering, but Hana knows it very well that whatever she is saying, Sadao isn't listening. He is so much engrossed, he is so much absorbed, he is so much lost in doing his work. And this she knows because she had been with him for a long that when Sadao is working, he is only thinking about his work and nothing else. So that's all for today's class. Until we meet next, keep studying, keep learning, keep experiencing and keep exercising. Bye-bye.